Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. A huge new commitment. Ryan Day is killing it. Mark Pantoni adding depth to this team. A star kicker has joined the forces to give Jaden Felding some competition. 3 years of eligibility left. It's going to be interesting to see if they redshirt him and have 2 years after. But kid hit 50 yarders, something we weren't able to do last year. Was really prolific last year at Ball State. We're going to get into all of it and take your questions as well. Again, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, this show has been incredible. The growth of Buckeye Scoop has been amazing. Our recruiting coverage has been on fire. Funky Buckeye, Bill Greene leading the charge, breaking commitments, breaking down a lot of what is going on underneath, deep inside the Woody Hayes. It's really it's been incredible, the stuff that we've been breaking on the board in terms of what things mean, but it's been really good. So again, if you guys aren't members of BuckeyeScoop.com, there's no off season, and our coverage has been absolutely spectacular. So again, I appreciate those guys. And as you guys know, Nevada and I are always bringing the inside heat for what's going on inside the team. The guys are off right now. It's finals week, so a lot of those guys are out of Dodge, going on vacation, but they'll be back in a week, getting ready for summer conditioning. So we'll give you updates on that as well. But as always, I got to bring in my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, this is not totally out of left field. This is an Ohio kid, dreamed of being a Buckeye. Again, I always talk about these bounce backs in the portal that have to go elsewhere to prove themselves, and then they get a shot to come here. Jackson Corvell is a kid from Ball State who really was good last year. And he's a local kid, a Dayton kid. And he gets the offer to come to Ohio State, accepts it. And this is kind of the beauty of having, extra scholarships where you can go up to 105. We'll probably go up to 90, where you can scholarship another kicker and really, create some really good competition. This kid, I don't say he has a stronger leg than Jaden Felding, but he hit a couple from 50 plus last year. And that's really impressive. Again, I love, when I play fantasy football, kickers that can hit 50-yard field goals are the meta to me, because if they can hit those bombs, man, those 5-pointers are huge. This kid can hit the bombs. What was your reaction to finding out that Jackson Corvell had committed to Ohio State?
Well, I think, on the heels of a long snapper commitment and then a kicker commitment, it just shows a increased attention to special teams that Ryan Day, previously hasn't done. And I think it went to kind of an evolution in Ryan's thinking, in Ryan's approach to the game, in Ryan's growth as a coach. I mean, before he was primarily offensive coordinator, quarterback coach type of thing, and then he's kind of stepped back to the CE position. And now, you look at he's kind of taking a globalistic approach to what the team needs. Special teams never matter until they matter, and long snappers don't matter until you notice them, and kickers don't matter until they miss big kicks in the Michigan games. Having a guy like this not only can he this year provide valuable depth and valuable competition, but he's got multiple years of eligibility left in the future. I just think this is a no-brainer because he's already proved that he can kick at the D1 level. He's already proved he can kick with accuracy and distance at the D1 level, and now you've got him for multiple years, in your fold. I think this is exactly how Ohio State should play it with kickers specifically, because there's no reason to risk it, risk the biscuit on a kicker directly from high school. Why not take a kid out of the portal? Because you've solved 90% of the issues regarding can they do it. They have the mental makeup to do it at the highest level, and I love this. We were encouraging them to do it last year during the portal.
I think that when you look at they had the Groves Award winner, obviously, was from Miami of Ohio, went to Alabama. It was a kid that I was begging for us to go after, because I think when you have the enhancement of the scholarships where you can go over 85 now, and you basically could before, with the way things are situated with NIL, having competition at every spot, I think, makes everybody better. Again, this is something that is different from college. In the National Football League, in general, in the NFL, no team rosters full 2 kickers on their active roster. You can't. You don't have enough space. Sometimes if a kid's struggling, they'll put him on the practice squad, or they'll bring in a competition on the practice squad in the middle of the season. But I think that when you look at, signing a kid who's from Ohio, which again, I think that kind of, the from Ohio thing, I talk about a lot, but I think it's a way to really navigate not having to spend, because again, this is a kid that grew up wanting to be a Buckeye, probably wasn't making a ton of NIL from Ball State, probably dreamed of being a Buckeye. You could get him for a very negligible amount of NIL money, I believe. And he's a kid that's got 3 years of eligibility. I mean, he's kicked for 2 full years. I mean, he was 11 for 13 last year, 2 for 2 for field goals over 50 yards, which again is spectacular. And he's kicked. Now, again, you guys are going to laugh at the score when I throw this up here, but he's kicked at Stanford Stadium. He kicked against Georgia, which again, this is it's a comical 45-0 score, but he's out there. He's kicked in a big stadium. Now the stadium's probably empty by this point because there's 9 minutes left of a blowout, but there he is hitting an SEC field goal. Again, they just, it's funny, like 13 field goal attempts just says that Ball State just isn't very good. In the MAC, kind of middle of the pack type team, but they're playing Georgia Southern, they're down 45-0, and but so when you only get 13 attempts in a 12-game season, that's it's not great, about 1 a game, but here he is knocking them through, and there's a game winner right there, which again I love guys that are clutch. So there he is hitting the game winner, hitting the little watch, whatever that means, but. Yeah, like I said, this is and here's there's another game winner. I mean, Jesus, that's a 50-yard game winner right there. So you're looking at this kick right here. There's 4 seconds left, down 1, 52-yard game winner versus Northern Illinois. So yeah, I mean that's a special kick in my opinion. I think that's a great kick, and I think that's something that you look at these kids and like has he hit game winners? Has he hit from distance? What would he do if he actually had like a full kind of cadre of attempts? Like what would his numbers really look like? And plus, if this kid wants to play in the NFL, like, I mean, going up in competition is never a bad thing. Like these NFL people want to see, can you kick in a high pressure situation, which again, there's nothing against the MAC, but I mean, the stadiums are going to have 10,000 people in it. I mean, these are 100,000 seat stadiums in the Big Ten. And I just never think that hurts you. That's why Michigan's kickers have gotten drafted the last few times. Because again, you have to have their leg and the nerves and everything else. But can you hit it in the big moments? Because that's what it really comes down to, and that's what costs a coach's job. Again, if our kicker was a little better, and again, I know Jaden Felding was banged up. I'm not trying to pile on Jaden Felding. We won a national championship. He got. He was nails through the playoffs. So give him all the credit in the world for bouncing back. I also know that he says he was hurt. So again. That's part of the equation. But now, if a kicker gets hurt with the enhanced roster size where you're up to 90 guys, I mean, I'm scholarshiping 2 kickers at all times. Because if one of them pulls a hip muscle or whatever, Jaden had I don't know if he had a hip or a groin, he had something that hindered him, which is why he was kicking it out of bounds and spraying it allegedly. You got a second guy that can go in there who's nails. And again, I would always have a kicker who's got experience, in big games, ready to go. I'd pay him because I think that it's going to be the new meta. Because the old days of getting a high school kid and hoping he's good enough to play at the next level and then he isn't, it kills you. Whereas when you go get a kid who can go kick at a MAC school or a smaller school and then transfer in, I think it's going to be the new wave of the future. Because again, every time a kid goes up a level, it's like, can he handle it? When the Browns took Cade York a couple years ago, he looked like the greatest college kicker of all time on the 2019 LSU team, and they took him in like the 3rd round, and he came up to the big leagues, man, and he struggled mightily. And the Browns, who thought they'd have a kicker for 20 years, had to cut the kid after a year basically and go get Dustin Hopkins. Kicking is a very mercurial position because these kids, they get one little injury or a hip or a back or something or a groin, and they can't make it, and it's like it cuts the engine of the team off when you can't hit those 3-pointers because you need them. Again, I played with Nuge, and Nuge is for my money the best kicker in Ohio State history, and he was a guy that every time he went out there. Now his freshman year was brutal, but second year All-American, 4th year All-American, grows a winner. So I know the value of having a great kicker. Nevada, your thoughts? Do you think we should roster 2 scholarship kickers? And I think that we have recently, but I mean, that second scholarship guy to me should be a portal ad from a school where he's got real college football kicking experience. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've always been a big proponent of that. I think that especially now that you've kind of expanded the roster, you've got NIL money to spend, and as you said, you get these kids that always wanted to be Buckeyes, you can get them at a discount. To not have, you know, a, I mean, frankly, a parent of spare at all these positions, because again, I've said it a million times. These positions never matter until they matter. It's like, oh, who cares about the kicker? Who cares about the long snapper until they start sailing them over the punter's head or bouncing them back on the field goal attempts, and then everybody knows who the long snapper is. So I think these are kind of those underrated moves that those teams do that are the championship teams, the teams that are kind of going on those dynastic tears. They pay attention to the little things, the little details that they need to do. And I think Ryan's growth in that, because if I had one, I've had criticisms of Ryan, but one of my criticisms of him was his inattention to special teams. I think they probably don't spend enough time practicing them. They didn't spend enough time with resources on them. And as a result, we'd be in a position where our special teams, in my opinion, were subpar, just kind of average, and instead of being difference makers. And I think the biggest thing about this is a recognition by Ryan that this stuff matters. This is important to Ohio State. He needs to address it, and he did. And I give him a plus marks for doing it.
Yeah, I think that that's the beauty of with the NIL, and the beauty of how good our offense is and how you can sell. Look, if you come here, man, you're gonna get a lot of opportunities to kick the ball. You're gonna have, if you want to win the Groza, I mean, this is a great place to be at because we're gonna score a lot of points and you're gonna have huge numbers and kick in a big crowd, and I think that helps propel you into the league. And I think that that's something that this kid is going to be excited about. Again, he's from Dayton. These kids all want to be Buckeyes. Probably was disappointed when he didn't get the offer to Ohio State. But again, the thing I love now is like with the way that college football is set up, there's always like these different tiers of kids through high school where there's like the kids that are the can't miss, don't have to come to camp their senior year. They're already offered. A lot of them already committed. And then there's the tier of like the Jake Cook kind of kids that are really good players, but they got to come camp as a senior and they got to come prove it and do their thing. And Jake was good enough to earn a scholarship offer at camp, which was great. Happy for him. He was kind of me. I had to go to camp, and then they still made me wait, even though I had a great camp, which is fine. I don't care. And then there's the kids that, we still pass on that go on to other places and do great things. And then they hit the portal. And then it's kind of like that camp season, like never ends now. Like you see some of these kids that we've been, Justin Terry from Pickerington Central, like we had him from West Virginia. And it was like, he was a kid that probably was good enough at camp to earn an offer, but we weren't sure, and we didn't have the expanded scholarships, and so he had to go to West Virginia for a year, and now he's a Buckeye. So again, I think that that's compelling to me. If you're a kid that Ohio State misses on, I feel like these guys are always kind of in a holding pattern. If you go somewhere like West Virginia or Ball State, and you're a good kid and you're right on that fringe, and somehow you can back channel. And again, I'm not saying that this is how it works with Ohio State, but it's like somehow you figure out that, hey, if I go to the portal, there's a shot Ohio State will come after me. I think that it's amazing because again, like a lot of these kids, they kind of get that second chance to be a Buckeye, and I love that because I love when we get this infusion of Ohio kids because I think that, like I don't want to do the SEC thing, but it does just mean more when you're an Ohio kid playing for Ohio State, and it makes me happy that this kid's getting a shot at it along with Justin Terry and some of these other guys. So, Nevada, I think that the 2 kicker thing is going to be it's going to be huge, and we've had 2 scholarship kickers, and you're right, like the kicker doesn't matter until he matters. And again, like the one kick in my life that was tough was like, Josh Houston. Again, I'm not blaming Josh Houston because Josh Houston was really good in 05. But he missed the kick against Texas that would have iced the game. We drove all the way down there, and I think he had maybe like a 45-yard field goal, and he shanked it. And I mean, that would have put the 05 Texas team that won the national championship, they would have been done. They would have been over. And so it doesn't matter if we had Nuge. I mean, Nuge would have hit that with his eyes closed, but Josh missed it. And again, it's nothing against Josh, but that's what it matters to have a great kicker. Because like I said, in 04, if we don't have Nuge, we probably lose 8 games because our offense literally, like when we played NC State in 04, we were so bad on offense that literally, like, I think we won the game 22 to like, I don't know if it was like 7 or 14 or whatever it was, but Nuge kicked 5 field goals in the rain. And we scored 1 garbage touchdown where I think Dante Whitner had an interception. He ran it down to like the 1-yard line. So even our atrocious offense could get in from 1 yard away, but we were so bad. And the kicker saved our day. So, but I'm excited for this kid. Again, the 50-yard plus thing is going to be interesting to see if Is there a split if you're out there deep? Does Ryan bring this kid out? If they decide not to redshirt him, and he still gets 4 games, and then once the tournament starts, once you get into the tournament, there's no red shirts, so this kid can kick bombs from wherever. But if you're out there, need a 50-yarder, do you go to Jaden Felding, or do you go to this kid? It'll be interesting. So, all right, Nevada. Anything else on that? We got a super chat in the door. We can get on.
Well, yeah, I mean, the splitting kickers thing will be interesting. I mean, a lot of teams do that. They have a long distance kicker and a shorter distance kicker, and having a guy that was able to, kick in clutch time against Northern Illinois. You say, oh, Northern Illinois. I mean, Northern Illinois went into South Bend last year, I believe, and beat Notre Dame. So to kick that on the road, a 50+ kick when you're in a tie game is clutch. A 50+ kick when you're down a point and you need it to do it is super clutch. To do it on the road is super duper clutch because I guarantee you it mattered to those Ball State guys who aren't winning a lot of games, and you're able to do that. You're the kicker and pointing to the watch. Isn't that the you know what time it is thing or something? I mean, I don't know, or clutch time. Um, yeah. Did you ever
I
point to your watch, Kirk, when you were playing?
I never wore a watch. So I mean, I had like an old crappy fossil watch when I was in 8th grade, but I've never worn a watch except for I have an Apple Watch now because if I want to go swimming, I don't have to have my phone next to me and I can take phone calls on it. So if you have to call me and say, hey, we have to podcast earlier, then I can make sure I have my thing ready to go so I can jump out of the pool and go, hey,
I
we got a
I
pod.
thought you had
Let's
your
go.
I thought you
Let's
had
go.
your Apple Watch to tell you not to go into the pool for like 30 minutes after eating, lest you get a cramp and like die in the pool or something like that.
Like I never believed that was a thing because like for one I don't cramp. I'm too big, and then for two it's like how am I gonna drown in a 6 foot deep pool? Like I mean,
Uh,
my whole body is gonna like turn sideways, and I'm just gonna be like the
well,
Titanic and split in half
no,
and go to the bottom
I
of the
got
ocean.
I got a funny, disturbing story about that. So I'm with my kids. I had 5 kids, and had my first kid, and we go to a wading pool. It's like a wading, like literally a pool that's like a foot deep. And so you're sitting there's your parent, and your kids like, and she's got floaties on her arm, okay, and she's floating. And I'm paying attention because your kid's in the water. You're obviously paying attention, but it's literally 1 foot deep, and she's got floaties on, and I'm like, okay, this kid's good. And I turn my head for a second, and I turn my head back, and she's floating face down in the water, floating down. And I have to pull her out of there, and I'm like, "Oh man, that could have been really, really bad right there." So yeah, I never took my eyes off the kids in the water after that
I
moment because yeah, they can have a problem even in a foot of water. You can have a problem.
did she like topple over or something? Like she's like sitting
Yeah,
there and
she
she
kind
just
of
fell
flipped
face
over.
first.
Yeah, flipped over on her face, and she had her footage, so
Okay.
she's floating by, but she was face down in the water. That was less than optimal right there.
Oh,
So yeah,
Okiki. Your
I
dad
never, yeah,
made you
I never,
parent of the year.
I never mentioned that to the wife after that thing. I didn't like, hey, a little incident at the wading pool today, but no,
Oh,
I kind of kept. This is the first time I've shared that story in a long time.
Jesus. I mean
Yeah, it was.
that's one of them ones where you're just like, oh God. I mean, talk about like
Oh, so bad, so bad.
how'd she drown? We were in this 6 inch deep pool and she fell over and I
Literally,
was
Kirk,
uh,
literally, like you're like, how could she even? I mean, it was because she was at least 2 foot tall at the time. Like you're thinking, oh, she can just
uh,
sit up. Nope, nope, can't sit up. So,
well, I can harness enough energy even with my back, which my back feels amazing now. Thank God for
oh, that's
Advil
good.
and stretching. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Like I never believed the don't eat. I mean, I would eat when I was a kid or even when I was an adult, and I'd be in the pool in 5 minutes because like I don't like deep sea dive. Like I literally just get in a pool that's like 6 feet deep. Like I mean, you're not. My feet can never. There's never a point where like the water's over my head. So
I could
I
see you
never
as one of those like competitive free divers that like dive down to like 200 feet down there without breath.
right to the bottom of the pool. I could get in that get that cart. I'm gonna say Nevada. I'm gonna do a sub exposition and a carbon fiber sub and go as deep as possible with a. There's
Yeah,
this new
what could
sub
go
that's made,
wrong? What could
there's a
go
new
wrong?
there's a new sub made out of paper mache that I'm gonna take to the
Oh my god!
Titanic.
Oh my
Like
god! Yeah.
Jesus,
Oh yeah, that
James,
would be bad.
that is bad. We got a super chat. All right. Oh, no way, 87. What happened with Rock? And for those of you that don't know, Rock is Albert Hill, who committed to USC yesterday. And he's a kid that said he was going to shock the world, and he did shock the world, committed to USC. But again, it's what, May? I mean, so I'm not like completely, you know, like they're not going to stop recruiting Albert Hill. Commits to USC. Again, I've seen this movie before, and again, like why you would commit to a Lincoln Riley defense is beyond me. Um, he's less of a Devin Sanchez lockdown outside corner. He's more of a nickel type kid. Um, so in general, you don't pay nickel kids like you pay an outside shutdown guy. That's at every level of football. That's the same in the NFL. It's the same in college. Um, Good player. He's the number one player in the state of Ohio, obviously. And this isn't. I'm not just saying this because he committed elsewhere. I'm just saying like that's kind of what it is. So, I mean, are we going to keep recruiting him? Yes. Could he sound up a Buckeye? Absolutely. I mean, like again, Lincoln Riley is, he was the bee's knees coach about 4 years ago before when he went to SC, and it's like it's been a disaster. I mean, the only reason Lincoln Riley still has a job is because his contract is so ungodly huge, and the buyout would be gargantuan. So it's a tough pill to swallow when you're the athletic director and the donors and everybody else. That hey, this guy that we gave 100, we're paying him $20 million a year. We're gonna have to pay if he's coaching for us or if he's not coaching for us. We still have to pay that $20 million. His buyout's like $75 million. It's like that is a lot of scratch to give out to a guy so he can go work for ESPN or CBS or Big Noon Kickoff or whatever. So again, sometimes these kids they like to get cute, and that's fine. Like, again, if the kid goes there, great. He'll be another one of these kids that isn't super bright, that doesn't jump on the freight train that is Ohio State football. And like, I'll feel bad for him for like a second. Because some of these kids, it's like they want to go jump in the pool at some place where I'm like, okay, it's like if a kid goes to Oregon or whatever, and I'm like, well, that's great, but they're not going to, they might beat us every now and then, but consistently, if we're going to talk, who's going to be the bigger squad, it's going to be us. It's not even going to be close, honestly. So, we're only getting better. We are absolutely brutally efficient using this transfer portal is just so good for Ohio State because you look at the talent. We had Ethan Onyanwa and Max Clare, and it's just like absurd. Then we come back and we get Bo Atkinson, who, for my money, Bo Atkinson for this upcoming season was the best value, the best player in the second portal, and he came to Ohio State. So, again, that's just my opinion, but I watched his tape and I was like, this kid he's got juice to him. He's a pass rusher. He's tall. He's lengthy. He plays with a ton of effort. Great family. Great addition to the room. He'll blend in seamlessly. The same kind of like same way like Will Howard did. Like Will Howard came in and immediately owned the room. Within a month, owned the entire team within a month as the unquestioned leader of the team. That's what you want. Like you want leaders and guys that have been productive, and I think that's what you look for. But Nevada with Rock Hill, who's from St. V, excuse me, not St. V. He's from Akron Hoban. Same as Sam Greer, good kid. But I just don't. I don't know. Like it's May. Like I don't get upset. I mean, if we lose a kid early, it's just not. It's not over. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I'm going to preface it all by saying I wish him well and we'll be fine either way. So none of this is about sour grapes. It's just my honest opinion. We always pride being honest on the show and giving you guys our honest thing. And I've just seen this movie before. I've seen it's called Fred Davis or Andre Walker or any one of the number of guys that want to go elsewhere. Um, Choosing USC to go play defense is a curious choice, for any player from the state of Ohio leaving Ohio, just because Ohio State's on such a roll. They're doing such a good job of producing NFL draft picks all over the board, and your life as a football player or as a civilian after having played football at Ohio State is so much better. Unless your plan is to leave the state, which some kids are like, I never want to live in the state of Ohio again. I want to get out. I totally get it. But for most kids, life after football in Ohio is a really good life, no matter what accomplish on the field or not. It's always great to be an ex-football player in the state of Ohio. People treat you really well, and that's another extra safety blanket. So, to your point, he's not 6'1" and a classic 5-star outside Marmaduke corner. He's more of a slot guy, more of a nickel guy, and we'll be fine. We're going to be fine with him. We'll be fine without him. I don't think, could he circle back? Sure, but if he does, I'll be excited about him like I am every recruit. But I legitimately am not losing any sleep over the cornerback room at Ohio State because it's got an absurd amount of talent. OG
Oof.
Walt is one of the best, if not the best, recruiters in the business, and we'll be fine without Rockhill.
Well, for me, it's like you look at Bryce West, Aaron Scott, Devin Sanchez. I mean, those are 3 5-star level dudes right there that are going to be ahead of this kid. Even after Davison's gone, assuming Jermaine Matthews bounces, or Caleb Downs is going to head to the league. Like, you still have incredible depth across Ohio State secondary. And again, I mean this sincerely. That scares some kids. I'm not saying Rock Hill is scared, but like when you look at that depth chart and you look at SC's depth chart, like one is a barren wasteland and one is loaded for bear. And our DB room is as loaded as I've ever seen. Not just at the top, but at the bottom too, with the young kids. So, I mean, I've seen the went to USC movie before, and like Fred Davis was like a really nice guy. Like I was teammates with him at the Senior Bowl, but like, is his life better because he went to USC? I don't think so. He's from Toledo. I don't even know where he lives now, but I mean, in my interactions with him, it was fair. Should he have come here? Of course. It's the same as like Andre Walker. Like I feel like when an Ohio kid goes to USC, like with Fred, I got it because SC was like they were the Alabama Nick Saban juggernaut with Pete Carroll. Like I get it. Now I get it was I mean, I didn't get upset if a kid went elsewhere. I didn't really care, but it's just like he was a kid that he missed out on being a Buckeye and being a Buckeye special, especially when you want to live in Ohio. But SC back then was a different type of animal. Now, I mean, dude, with how bad their defense has been and with how shaky the ground is for Lincoln, I mean, Lincoln's been as big of a coaching bust as I've seen. One of the most disappointing hires in recent college football history because I thought just like you, just like Uncle Colin, we were all thinking, oh God, Lincoln Rally at SC, that's going to be a problem. They're going to have Heisman Trophy winning quarterback every year. They're going to get back to the old ways, the old Pete Carroll days. And it's been a bust. And again, I question any kid that wants to go there to play defense. If you're the quarterback and you want to go play for Ryan Day or Lincoln Riley, I get it. If you want to play defense there where they've just been absolutely abysmal, like it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it just really doesn't. Like it would be like wanting to be a skill player and you want to go play at Michigan. Again, like if I'm like a receiver or a running back, like I want to go play at Michigan. Like they're terrible quarterback, terrible ground and pound offense. I don't know, dude. But I don't lose sleep over a kid, especially this early in the process, because might always flip them. But again, there's also there's a price sometimes, and with the way our room's loaded, if we don't get this kid, we'll be okay. And Bryce West, Aaron Scott, I mean, let alone Devin. Like Devin is like a superstar in the making. So Devin's a guy that can play anywhere. He's gonna probably start. He'll end up starting by the middle of the season this year, and just don't sleep. And again, I mean this sincerely for anybody that's upset or despondent that we lost a high school kid. The way that we work in this portal now, I'll never be upset if a kid decides not to come to Ohio State, especially if he's an Ohio kid and we just won a national championship and we have OG Walt coaching as your position coach. If you turn all that down, that's an Albert Hill problem. That's not an Ohio State problem. I mean, you can get mad at Tim Walton or our NIL group or whatever, but it's like, how could you not want to come play for this? Especially after Ryan just got extended for 7 years. Like, I mean, he locks him in as your coach for basically your entire career. So just my opinion. Nevada, anything else you want to add to that?
Well, no, I think you make great points, and I think for Ohio State right now, you just pointed to Bo Atkinson and Ethan and Max Clare. I mean, that's 3 starters in the portal. So anytime you're looking at returning starters for Ohio State and where's that? I mean, you added 3 guys, 3 out of 22, 15% came from the portal. And that was kind of an I won't say uneventful portal season for Ohio State, but it wasn't like we were like crazy active. I mean, it's just like normal activity, and I think that's probably what you're going to expect in the future. So your emphasis on high school kids definitely lessened, not to zero. That doesn't It's not like it doesn't matter to recruit high school kids, but the impact of it has definitely been lessened by the portal. And as you mentioned, nobody's playing the portal game better than Ohio State. Some teams are playing it as well, but nobody's playing it better. Ohio State's being really strategic. And when you've got a kid that just doesn't want to go there for whatever reason, like I said, I really do wish him well. And then let's move on to the next.
Yeah, for me, like I'm really impressed by Mark Pantoni and the way that he's just been, he's figured this portal thing out and how to just be brutally efficient at it. And and I'm talking brutally efficient in terms of what kids are worth, and how much you got to pay this guy. What is his personality? What's his makeup? What's what's he driven by? And then how's he going to fit in the locker room? And what's his projected role on the 2025 version of Ohio State? So you take like Ethan Onyanwa, kid is he's he's got a really really high level degree. I can't remember if it's engineer or so it's something of that nature, where it's not just the old criminal justice. He's got a real degree. Really a sharp kid, thoughtful kid, wants to be a big time NFL player. Really, good tape last year, but was heavy last year. Mickey Marotti got the weight off of him. He's much lighter, 325-ish, 330-ish, and looked great in the spring game. Now again, this isn't blitzing and movement up front, but just when I watch the spring game, I just look at movement skills. That's all I care about. I want to see how the tackles move, how fluid are they in their pass sets, how good's the communication. It's the most stagnant, static vanilla defense you could ever go against. But that kid looks like he's going to be a home run. Max Clare, preseason first team All-American by ESPN, home run, and a multi-year guy if we get him for that last year, which I'm not sure if we will, depending on how this year goes. But I judge people by their misses in this game. And early on we had the Victor Cutlers and we had some of these guys when we were just trying to figure the portal out. We don't have those anymore. These guys that we pay and then they don't play. The kids that we pay now are definite starters, impact players, great locker room additions. Again, you look at, I mean, it's almost comical how good they've been. Like Will Howard, Caleb Downs, Julian Sayin, CJ Henderson, or CJ Donaldson, excuse me. You get these kids that are cooking. And again, that's hard to do. I mean, because you're looking around the country and you see teams that add these portal kids and they're despondent, they're cancerous. The team goes sideways. It's a lot to manage. There's egos to manage. There's parents to manage. There's agents to manage. But mostly it's just getting the right kids. And we've gotten this thing so efficient. And again, there's these different tiers of kids that we take. We take the top tier, the S tier kid is the kid that's going to start immediately, fill a need, departing Josh Simmons, bring in Ethan Onyanwa, basically make nearly the same amount of money in NIL. So it's like a perfect matchup. And then you've got like these kind of these developmental tiers of the kids that are maybe freshmen, kids with 3-4 years of eligibility left. Our long snapper that we got yesterday has got 4 years of eligibility. Justin Terry from Pick Central, who's from West Virginia, he's got 4 years of eligibility. So you get that kind of backfill of developmental talent as well. Obviously much, much less expensive than the top tier, older junior, senior starter type kids like Max Clare and Ethan Onyanwa. But I think that Mark has managed this beautifully because, again, the worst thing, and I mean this like with a capital W, the worst thing that you can do is pay one of these kids and he shows up and he either can't play or he's a bad kid or both. That's the worst combination. And then not only are you out the money, but then you have this undercurrent in the locker room that this kid is getting all this and he sucks, because that's a real thing. That's where the human element comes out. And we've managed this beautifully because the kids that we've gotten, that we've paid significant amounts of money to for this NIL deal, they've been ballers. And again, that's not easy to do, because if it was easy, then everybody would be taking, it's like when Nevada says when he was in the movie business, only make the hits. Like right now, Mark Pantoni's only making I Know What You Did Last Summer over and over again, which is great. And he's skipping out on some of the ones that are the stinkers. So Nevada, we are through the super chats. Any final thoughts? We can wrap this thing up.
No, I agree with you. I couldn't be more impressed with I think the portal stuff is about your misses. You just got to avoid the misses. You got to avoid and I'm not writing off Taiwan Malone yet. I every now and then I hear a good report on him, and given our need for big bodies on the inside, it would sure be great to see him kind of go up. So I haven't written him off, but the Victor Cutler experiment, I'm glad that one's over. Ryan Day and Matt Pantoni just need to keep looking for those guys that can contribute, and they've done that. And they did it again with a long snapper. They did it again with a kicker, and the three starting portal guys they did. And then Philip Daniels, who's a valuable depth piece. They got another depth piece with the kid from West Virginia. So I think they're playing the portal game so smart and so well. And as an Ohio State fan, that's really exciting.
Yeah, I think Philip Daniels is a guy. He'll compete at right tackle with Austin. I think Austin's got it kind of locked in right now. But the way that they're going to move guys around to figure out who's the best five, because if Philip Daniels keeps developing, he could easily be the starting right tackle, and you put Austin somewhere. But the thing that'll be interesting to me as you go forward, with this, Ethan Onyano is going to be maybe, if not the best tackle in the country, a top five tackle, left tackle. He's got 1 year with us, so is there a shot that Philip Daniels switches to left tackle for next year? Because again, with Luke and Austin and these guys, again, I'm sure they'll test the waters potentially to jump early, but they are linemen, and it's really hard to leave early after 3 years if you're any of those Tigra and those guys. But those guys all have they're all gonna have another year in 2026, so you could easily move Philip Daniels in at left tackle, and then you have basically the same starting four. And you just switch out Ethan, who'll be, a first round NFL draft pick, put Philip Daniels in at left tackle. So that'll be really interesting. Because like I said, this is going to be, you talk dynastic run. Like think about, this year we're going to be, the preseason number one, but then you look at 26, man, we're going to have Julian Sane back, James Peoples back, 4 out of the 5 starting offensive linemen back. If Max Clare doesn't declare early, you have him back, and then you have JJ back for his last year. I mean, that's terrifying. Ennis is up for the draft this year. I don't know if he'll get enough production to go. Mylan Graham. I mean, that's going to be terrifying in 26. So, it's a good time to be a Buckeye fan. And again, I mean this sincerely. I feel bad for kids like Rock Hill that don't see that. Like, why would you? This is like the biggest, baddest like machine ever. It is like you're like, I don't want to jump on this one. I want to jump on I don't want the biggest, best, cruise ship ever. I want the little tiny, Carnival cruise ship that's the 199 special for the 7-day deal. Like, I don't want that one. So that's me. Any final thoughts about it? Wrap this thing up.
No, if you're not a member of BuckeyeScoop.com, you're missing out. If you like this podcast, it's 30 cents a day. Can't, I mean, 30 cents a day, like not even a cup of coffee you get for that. So if you like the podcast, you can join the website, go to BuckeyeScoop.com and join, and we'll see you on the message board.
Yeah. Again, we've had incredible recruiting coverage. Bill the Bank Green is extended. So we've got a lot of really great things going on BuckeyeScoop.com. Real quick, I'm going to toss this on here. We've got our give me 1 second. Let me find this right quick. We have got our merchandise drop going on. So I want to make sure that you guys see that. I'm going to get to it real quick. Repthescoop.com, REPTHESCOOP.com. I'm going to toss this on the screen, take you guys through it. Again, got our classic Urban Meyer, the Urban, going fast, folks. That one will sell out for sure. That one is the hottest thing that we have, and people love rocking that at the meetup, so I appreciate you guys. We got the National Championship hoodies. I'm going to get a bunch of those. Those are sick. Blackout hoodie as well, also sick. And we've got just the traditional Buckeye Scoop, the classic logo, the red, white, and black. So I appreciate you guys. Got the ever-present American flag on the sleeve, which is my favorite forever. So again, Rep the Scoop, REPTHESCOOP.com. I'll toss that on the screen real quick just so that you guys can see it. If you guys can't, here you go. Toss that on there real quick just so you guys can see it. Rep the Scoop, REPTHESCOOP.com. Takes you right to our store, and you guys can get some gear. The store's open for a couple more weeks, and then we'll shut the doors and we'll get everything printed and shipped out to you guys. So As always, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys so very much for always being on here. A little earlier on Saturday, got the Kentucky Derby. Nevada's got some engagements this afternoon. Got a lot of great programming coming. Got the Buckeye boys coming up on our show. They're going to be on Monday, Thursday. Funky's going to take over Fridays. And then Nevada and I are going to be at a normal 7 o'clock. Going forward, Saturdays we sometimes go a little early if there's an NFL game or NBA playoffs or whatever. So, but we just appreciate you guys being on here, man. This is such a fun show. We love you guys to death. We always love to give you guys the newest, latest, and greatest. But we appreciate you guys so very much. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. You guys enjoy the Kentucky Derby. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, 7:10. Go Bucks.